All right, y'all, let's talk about it, man. Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins popping up on my Twitter feed. Kirk Cousins to the 49ers. And I'm like, well, what the heck is going on? Why do people keep mentioning Kirk Cousins and the 49ers? And then I keep looking, I'm searching. Kirk Cousins, okay, 49ers. And I see it. Kirk Cousins basically says there's no plans for him to play long term with or past this season, right? They're not talking about a contract extension or anything like that. And I'm like, okay, they're not talking about that, but what does that do with the 49ers? Now I start thinking, oh, Kyle Shanahan, contingency plan. So I think Kirk Cousins, when we talk about Kirk Cousins, there's this kind of negative vibe surrounding his name based on what he is, right? And he hasn't been a successful postseason quarterback, so I get it. All right. But based on what he has been throughout his career, pretty much, right? Well, outside of the first 3 seasons because he barely played. But since he's been a starter in the NFL, he has been a really good quarterback. All right. He's been a really good quarterback. Not amazing in the sense of just what it looks like. But when you see, okay, the numbers, the games played, you're looking at one thing that he's had over 49er quarterbacks as of late. Really, since maybe Colin Kaepernick played kind of back-to-back seasons, but for a long time. The dude doesn't miss games. And I'm looking at his QB record right now. And based on his record, because you can look at like the games that he played that season, I think he's only missed one game since 2015 season, which that was his first year starting all year, like an entire season. And that one game that he missed, I think they just sat him. So that was 2019. I want to say the last game of the season, they sat him because they couldn't move up or down in the standings. So he hasn't missed a game due to injury his entire career starting for the 49ers. And I started thinking like, well, why does that make sense? And here's why it makes sense. I believe the 49ers are all in on the potential ability of Brock Purdy based on what they saw last year. It makes a lot of sense. He played extremely well, right? And you want to see, like, can he do it again? Can Brock Purdy do it again? Can he play at that level? Is there a drop-off? Can he stay healthy, right? There were a couple of games there. I think, what was it? The injury to the ribs, and the game got a little weird, but he played with that. And then obviously he got knocked out with the elbow injury in the postseason. But can he play a full season? Can he stay healthy? All those things. And obviously, there's Trey Lance and things like that. But right now, this is about Purdy. I believe that they really like Brock Purdy. I believe they are in on the potential of it and what it could be for an entire season. But also, I think it's on him. How good are you going to be throughout an entire season? Now, I'm going to throw everything at you. You're not a veteran. You got to still learn a lot of things on the fly. One thing that we've learned about Kyle Shanahan, I think Kyle wants to be more sure of whatever it is. That's what it feels like. He doesn't really like to play young guys like that. Like, if you play a young guy, if Kyle plays a young guy, it's really more so based on, like, this young guy is just ready. He's hitting the ground. He's ready to play right now. If there's any doubt, Kyle kind of just kicks that guy to the curb. We've seen that. And that's not a Trey Lance thing. That's a anybody thing. That's a Trey Lance, Trey Sermon, a Drake Jackson towards the end of the year where it's like, oh, you're slowing down. Get up out of here, right? Like, any young player that is quite, there's just something that's not quite clicking and maybe they need to work through it. I don't have time for that. Get up out of here. Brandon Ayuk, right? Remember, he said it. Brandon Ayuk, the only reason, and I couldn't believe he said this, but he said the only reason Brandon Ayuk played and was featured the way he was as a rookie was because other guys were hurt. And I'm thinking, here we are, right, between us, right, 49er fans. You see people in the media. You see the fantasy football. Oh, breakout year coming up for Brandon Ayuk. And the whole time, Kyle's thinking, I would have never played the motherfucker if these other guys were just healthy, and they weren't. So I had to play him. He does not like playing young guys that he feels like isn't 100% ready. And with Brock Purdy, I think right now he's very comfortable with what he saw from him last year. Hey, right now, Brock Purdy, he's the leader in the clubhouse. And, hey, I think Brock Purdy has earned that ability to start the season. But he don't know if Brock is a long-term guy. He don't know if Brock is going to be able to withstand an entire season. He doesn't know, and he's going to find out. But here's the thing. If Brock Purdy can't, if there's a drop-off for whatever reason, and I don't even know what those reasons would be. Maybe the game just starts to move fast. Maybe people, and you always hear the film, right? And here's the thing with the film on Brock Purdy. Every quarterback, they like to do certain things, right? They have their strengths, they have their weaknesses, the areas of the field that they throw in, area of fields that they struggle to throw. And the more film you get on that, the more you're able to kind of build a game plan defensively surrounding that. Now, when you have Kyle Shanahan, I think he can offset those things very well because he does a terrific job of window dressing certain things to make it look like something that is really not, right? And if you notice, even with Jimmy Garoppolo, the 49ers drop back passing game, it has struggled. And I think the drop back passing game, if Brock Purdy had to depend on being that, I think it would struggle as well. And if you look at his, and I'll bring it up here. Let's see, Brock Purdy. Now, one thing about a scouting report in the NFL, right? It's just that. It's what they think of you coming out of college. And then based off of what you do in the NFL, you can either change that narrative or you can prove to work around whatever your limitations are. So a perfect example of this, and it's kind of more extreme. Well, I'll throw a couple different scenarios at this, right? The first scenario is Richard Sherman, Hall of Fame cornerback, not the fastest of guys, but he understood how he had to play the game, being a guy that's a 4, 5, 7 guy, right? You want to put him in more advantageous situations than not. Hey, we're going to put you in the Seattle scheme, right? This cover 3 Seattle scheme where you are a long defensive back. We're going to press you up at the line of scrimmage. We're going to make it to where you don't really have a whole lot of responsibility on in-breaking routes, and you can press up and you can force guys, right? It's kind of like this fire zone defense or whatever it is, but you're going to run with everything vertically pushing to the outside and anything going inside, you kind of pass that off or whatever, right? And this is going to work to your skill set that mentally he's able to read concepts and he can play it at the highest level. So him being a 5th-round pick and maybe having speed deficiencies wasn't going to hurt him because, hey, we know we're going to put you in this situation and you're going to win. So you can work around that. Another example is probably Kendrick Bourne, right? Kendrick Bourne, a guy who ran a 4.7, but he said, you know what? Yeah, I ran a 4.7, but I can win this way. And he won that way with the 49ers. And he did well, and he was consistent. He's probably their best, I don't know, red zone threat in how long. So whatever your scouting report is, doesn't mean that's what you have to be at the NFL level, but how do you work around those things? So when you look at Brock Purdy, all right, and it says, here we go, 4-year starter who was never able to improve upon the stellar sophomore campaign. Purdy is a burly pocket quarterback who needs play action based offense where he can rely on timing over release, quickness, and arm strength, right? Just doesn't have the most arm strength. So having an offense that kind of opens up some of those windows, he can do it, right? Based on timing and everything. Certain areas of the field will be off limits as he moves up to the NFL. Coverage talent. He's a scrappy runner, but not dynamic enough to make up for his shortcomings as a passer. So one thing that Brock Purdy, which is why he was the last pick in the draft, there are some limitations physically, but it's up to him to be able to overcome those things mentally. And I think between him and his preparation and then Kyle Shanahan, they did an amazing job of that. They did an amazing job of figuring out how to work around some of his limitations. He's just not a pure drop back passer, right? And that hasn't been the strength of the 49ers since I don't know. All right. Now, he doesn't have to be with the 49ers. But what teams might do is start to say, we're going to try to make him be a drop back passer. And what would that look like? Maybe he's amazing. Maybe you see, there's some limitations here, right? For whatever reason. And over an entire year, you'll be able to see if those things rear its ugly head or not. And if he plays over it, you're fine. And he is your long-term quarterback. But if he's not able to do that because of the physical cap, if maybe he doesn't stay healthy for an entire season. That's when this chatter about Kirk Cousins starts to become more of a kind of a joke. And for not even I put out the little Kyle Shanahan grinning thing, whatever, but it's a joke. And it goes more from a joke to kind of being reality. Because one thing that with Kirk Cousins and Kyle would know what he's getting. And there's like this ultimate, like just level of, I don't even know what to call it, but that's what he likes. He wants to be certain. And that's what Kirk Cousins is. Now, he's not sexy to us, pause. You know, but I think for Kyle, he's like, heck, man, obviously you want the quarterback that he said, legs like Lamar Jackson, but, throws like Drew, whatever it is. You want that. But ultimately, if I can't figure out how to get that long-term guy, then it's like, I would love Kirk Cousins. And I think that's where, you see the Kirk Cousins stuff is more of a contingency plan. Where Brock Purdy, which I think everybody expects him to play well, you don't know. You don't know. Well, what's it going to look like over an entire season? He did have elbow surgery. Like, that's a real thing. Maybe it doesn't matter. Could very well not matter. He could come back stronger. But I don't know. I know he played well last year. And I think based off of that, he earned the opportunity to start this year. And then this year, how's it work out? Because if it gets weird, the Kirk Cousins talk is gonna heat up. It's gonna heat up.